place. Here's Paul, hanging, fading, pissed off.
There's a locker room mantra, a bruising blowout, and a playoff berth have in common. For the Indiana Fever, everything. Their 94-65 win over the Washington Mystics wasn't just a victory. It was survival and defiance rolled into one. And in the middle of it all, Aliyah Boston dropped a line that has teammates buzzing and fans demanding to know more. What exactly did she say? And why is it the mindset carrying Indiana into the playoffs? Without their superstar Caitlin Clark and 4 other injured players? Stick around, because this is more than just basketball. If you're fired up for the playoffs, then comment Fever Playoffs. Let's go. How can a playoff team lose half its rotation and still find a way to survive? That's the story of the Indiana Fever this season. The roster didn't just take a hit. It was gutted. Caitlin Clark, the sophomore sensation who was supposed to lead this team into a new era, was lost after only 13 games with a torn groin. Sophie Cunningham, gone with a knee injury. Chloe Bibby, done with a knee injury. Sydney Colson, sidelined. Ari McDonald, finished with a foot injury. 5 names, 5 contributors cut from the picture. When that many core players disappear, most teams crash. For Indiana, this became their test. The injury carried the heaviest blow. She was averaging over 16 points and setting the kind of playmaking standard that had Fever fans believing the postseason wasn't just possible, it was expected. When the announcement came down that she was out for the season, you could feel the shock ripple not just through Indiana, but across the basketball world. Fans who had been packing Game Bridge Fieldhouse were left, asking how this team could possibly keep pace without their biggest star. Analysts lined up to say the Fever's playoff dreams were over, and it wasn't only Clark. The constant rotation of hardship signings made Indiana look less like a stable roster and more like a moving train people were trying to jump onto. 18 different players have suited up at some point. Imagine taking a team photo at the start of the year, then halfway through realizing almost every face in that picture has been replaced. Odyssey Sims flying in, Shea Petty stepping into minutes, Aerial Powers carving out a role. It wasn't strategy as much as survival, and survival doesn't usually end in a playoff push. That's where Stephanie White's leadership made the difference. Even with her roster wiped out, she didn't push panic buttons. She simplified the system, streamlined rotations, and got players to focus on the foundation. White even admitted the staff had to think outside the box to maximize what they had. She knew glossing over the adversity would be a mistake. Instead, she leaned into it, reminding her group how tough they were, physically and mentally, and the players followed. By August, doubts gave way to something else. Resilience. What was supposed to be the downfall of this team became its hidden weapon. No superstar to lean on? No problem. Every woman on the roster learned to shoulder the weight. That next woman up mantra that started as a necessity turned into their identity. And once they carried it into Washington, the toughness that had been forced on them all season finally exploded into dominance. How do you turn heartbreak into a 29-point demolition? The Indiana Fever found that answer on the road against the Washington Mystics. And it came in the form of a win so commanding, it felt less like a basketball game. A message to the entire league. This wasn't just any win. It was the one that clinched it, returned to the playoffs, and proved that even without Caitlin Clark, this team has more than one engine powering it forward. The game didn't look like a blowout in the opening half. Washington came out strong, forcing Indiana into tough looks and trading buckets to keep things tight. The Fever's offense wasn't clicking early, and if you had been watching, you could feel a bit of that nervous tension in the air. The Mystics had momentum, and with Clark, Cunningham, McDonald, Bibby, and Colson all sidelined, the question was real. Could Indiana hold its ground? Or would this be the kind of night that slips away? By halftime, it was competitive, but the tone completely flipped when the third quarter rolled around. The Fever locked down defensively in a way that didn't just slow Washington, it smothered them. The Mystics managed only 9 points in that entire frame. 9. That's not just a cold streak, that's near total shutdown basketball. Every passing lane felt disrupted, every matchup contested, and suddenly, Indiana looked like the hungrier team on both ends. From there, the lead ballooned, climbing past 20, past 25,